If you saw this video, you may have noticed I kind of disappeared after that, and which is why I'm here. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about the fall of Jessie Khaira, myself, and how the last 7 years have just been this yo-yo roller coaster ride, and how I'm finally at a place where I can talk about it because it's no longer a wound but a scar. So let me take you back to that video where it says get to know me. And in that video, I was super happy. I was starting this new chapter. Business was going great. I had moved into a warehouse that I thought was going to help me really build my business to what I wanted it to be. But instead, it was the biggest mistake I ever made. That move cost me just over $100,000. Not the move itself, but the mistakes that that move brought on. And as much as I would like to go into it, I don't think it's really fair because there's multiple sides to every story. I can only talk about my own. And it started this roller coaster of events. And from that one mistake, as I started crumbling, if you've ever made a mistake that's cost you financially, you may have gone through this, so you may understand where at that point you start thinking, okay, you're just grasping onto straws and you're just trying to fix things. And you're just like, okay, maybe this will help and maybe that will help. And I had lost the part of me that believed in myself and trusted myself to do the best thing for myself. And although the highlight reel from the outside looking in looked like I had my shit together and everything was going great, it wasn't. My marriage was on the rocks. My husband was sick and tired of this work I was doing. My kids were dying to spend time with me. And I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off. In the years following, I made mistakes, lots of mistakes. Just grasping onto something, thinking, okay, maybe this is what's gonna make things better. It was also what led to multiple clients with failed payments, bounce checks, chasing payments, which also totally dominoed into other parts of my life and my business, because as I was trying to fix up one, the other one started to it was just like there was no end. And now you may be wondering, why are you talking about this? I'm talking about this because it's made me who I am today. I'm talking about this because everyone talks to you about making money, but no one talks about the mistakes that entrepreneurs sometimes make. No one talks about the hardships, and I need to normalize that. I need to normalize that we all make mistakes, but it doesn't define who we are in any which way. I thought that 2019 was gonna be the year that everything was gonna get better. I had this absolutely amazing wedding that was literally the biggest wedding BC had seen up until that point. I was so sure this was it. This was what was gonna make things better. This is what was gonna be my saving grace. This is how I knew I made it. And then the wedding happened. There was no magical transformation. Instead, I drove into the deepest, darkest moments of my life. I had to go to therapy for post-traumatic stress. I had not slept or ate in those days. I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking the bride's brother was trying to wake me up and I had missed the wedding. It was traumatizing to relive those moments over and over and over again. And it was in those days where my husband said, I've had enough. This is it. I cannot do this anymore. I cannot take the bits that you have left from what you have left from your clients. it's time you make a choice. Either me and your kids are a priority or your business is a priority, because it's literally breaking you down to nothing. So I made the decision. I decided it was time to call it quits. So I did what any rational thinking person would do. I threw everything in the garbage. And I know there's so many better ways I could have taken care of it. But to tell you in that moment I was broken would be an understatement. And by the end of November, I no longer had a warehouse space, and I was no longer taking on any more clients, and I was just going with the flow. And then, well, we know what 2020 brought. And all of a sudden, everything was at a standstill. I was no longer working 7 days a week, barely functioning, and I had no choice but to really look deep within to figure out what the problem was. Because the Jessie that had spent the last 18 years just trying to reach that next best thing had nothing to work towards. And it was then that my depression and anxiety really took over me. It literally took over my life, to the point of I could not get out of bed to have dinner with my children. And if I did make it to the dinner table, all I did was cry. It was in those days where I found help. And it was also when I realized I actually have ADHD. So me being busy all the time helped me come up with coping mechanisms. I was able to create this false reality, and I was able to use the power of ADHD to my advantage. But when things came to a standstill and that was no longer the case, everything went plummeting down. I lost hope. I just lost. I don't even know how to put it into words. The emptiness, the darkness, the feelings of who am I? Because for the longest time, I was Jessie the decorator. I was never just Jessie. I was Jessie the mom sometimes when I was home. I was Jessie the wife sometimes, maybe the friend. But my identity had become the decorator. And I decided it was time to take that back. So, over the last 2.5 years, I have tried to learn who I was again, what made me excited and happy, and what brought me joy, without wondering worrying about anybody else, just me. What makes me happy? And as I thought about it and I worked towards it, I thought, do I even want to do weddings anymore? And there was a part in time where I was like, never fucking again do I want to think about a wedding. I was done. But then I had a wedding that I had to do because I had taken it on. But I came from a completely different perspective, and my view of the way to do things was so different. And I realized I missed it. But then I realized, okay, I do want to do this, but with boundaries. So I'm welcoming you to version 2.0 after the fall of Jessie Khaira. So I will, in future videos, talk a little bit more about what I went through and the issues and how I overcame them, just in case there's somebody else out there that is potentially going through what I'm going through, because it was very lonely. Not a lot of people understand what you're going through, and it's actually considered very taboo to talk about it. Like, who really wants to sit at a dinner table talking about shit that's going wrong? Everyone wants the highlight reel, whether we say we do or not, whether we verbalize it. When's the last time someone told you something was wrong and you were openly, honestly sitting there willing to hear it and not thinking, oh, I have this going on in my life? Really? That's what you're worried about? I did it. I've done it, and I probably will continue to do it. But this new version of Jessie, she's no longer making sacrifices, and she's no longer compromising. Will I take on weddings? Yes, I will take on full planning and management clients, but at a very limited amount, and weddings that truly excite me. I want to continue going back to doing things for joy and not for the money of them. Yes, money is freaking necessary. It is so necessary. But the one thing I've learned is money doesn't buy happiness, and it definitely does not fill any voids when you're in a very dark spot. But joy and gratitude, that's a totally different story. So along with weddings, I'll continue offering products and services for women of color trying to build businesses. And lastly, my biggest excitement and what I'm really looking forward to is the Empowered Success Club, which is going to be a resource of women of color running service-based businesses that helps them do the internal work so that they truly are showing up as the best version of themselves. This video probably didn't include everything I wanted to include, but it's what I'm ready to include at this moment. And I look forward to having you subscribe to my channel and share what you may resonate with and what you want to hear more of, because there's no highlight reel here. You're gonna get the truth, and sometimes you're not gonna like it, but that's okay. Because the biggest lesson I've learned is the opinion that matters the most is my very own. I look forward to watching you joining me on my videos. Check out Instagram. I've redone my website. That totally there's like no decor on there anywhere, which makes me a little sad, but also brings me so much joy, because this version of Jessie realizes she's so much more, and I know that you are too. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.